This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports. You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host Keith Angle on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Angle for TGI Sports Talks. Sunday, stream of consciousness. I had to remember what day it was for a second. A little gloomy here. Fall feels like fall here in the Northeast. Hope it's good where you are. Good day to sit inside, watch some college football, pro football. College football was yesterday. We'll certainly get into that. But welcome, everybody. Glad to have you with us. Everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, everybody watching live today. You'll see us later on Roku at 12 with a repeat of the show, and it'll repeat Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So thanks for coming in. Listen, I'll be going on vacation in a few weeks, but I'm trying to get some interviews. I haven't done interviews in quite some time, and I've got some authors in the hopper to do some interviews with, including Eric Sherman, who's wrote some great books about the Mets. Players, Mike Bass, former Washington Redskin Mike Bass, just getting inducted into their Ring of Honor or whatever they might call it there in Washington. Some other guys we got to hanging in there. I want to start doing one a month or so. I know I've said this for a while, and it's just been a matter of trying to round up some guys. So, and again, it's something I like to do, and maybe we can play some of those while we're on vacation and missing a couple of weeks. I'll try to do so much as I can from this cruise ship as I have in the past, but sometimes the feed is a little bit iffy. But listen, we got a lot to talk about today. Major League Baseball, we got Aaron Judge chasing 61 and hopefully 62 with the Maris family following him around. He's gone 4 games now without a homer. We'll talk about that in a bit. Pujos getting to 700. The baseball races, we'll talk about some of the games in the top 25 yesterday. In college football, we'll certainly talk a lot of NFL as well. Vince Werfel getting into the Patriots Hall of Fame. Today, though, let me start with a quick I want to give a quick group shout out today to America's Pastime for the Love of Baseball, run by Greg Rawlings. Greg does a tremendous job, guys. If you are not following this group, if you're a baseball fan, follow this group. There are a ton of former Major League Baseball players that are part of this group. Greg does some great stuff. He does some live stuff himself. He gives away baseball memorabilia, baseball cards, with some trivia stuff. Again, he just does a lot of different stuff. And Greg he's been to more ballparks this summer than anybody I can think of. So great, a big shout out to Greg Rawlings, who lets me share my shows there as well. When they have baseball related content, I try not to send like the college football huddle over there. Obviously a baseball group. So he's one of the guys who really supports the show very well. And we want to get Greg on it at one point. Did you see my question on the defenders strike zone on Mac and Jack? The defenders strike zone? We'll talk about that a little bit when we get into I assume you're talking about baseball. The only thing I can think of, I know DeGrom had some issues with Angel Hernandez yesterday. I don't know who doesn't, though. How Angel Hernandez has a big job in baseball is amazing to me. But we'll get started with Major League Baseball today as well. And we'll jump right into it. We'll have Mark Mancini on a little bit after 10. Not sure what his hot takes are today, so that'll be interesting. By the way, I was on the Liberty Bell Smack show in Philadelphia, the radio show that Mark does with Sal, who I don't know if we'll see Sal on today, but Sal is a big part of that show, one of the co-hosts, along with Marianne Costello. And we had a lot of fun for that hour in the Philadelphia market. And you can watch that. I did share the broadcast to to my Facebook page as well. I think my personal page and the TGI Sports Talk page. So in any event, first thing I want to do when we talk about Major League Baseball is I want to get into a quick rest in peace to Maury Wills. Maury Wills passed away this week. I think Maury was, 88? I had this question come up yesterday, and I don't remember the answer. Maury, come on, Maury. 89. So Maury Wills was a really good player. Not in the Hall of Fame. He could be one of those guys. He may get in one day on the old timers vote, but very, very good baseball player. Maybe just not quite Hall of Fame worthy, but I don't know. He won an MVP. He finished in a top 20. I want to say, what did he finish in the top 20? I wrote it down here. 8 times, I believe, going to finish in the top 20 in the MVP voting. He set a new record for stolen bases, and the year he did win, 1962, with 104, that was later broken by Lou Brock and then by Rickey Henderson. Just added a dimension to the game that had been missing for a while. The stolen base had kind of gotten away from Major League Baseball, a little bit like it has today. At that point in time, and he became a very, very important cog in that Los Angeles Dodger offense. And he had, he got left open for, we got traded to Pittsburgh. Don't know for who. Could probably find it out here if I look quickly enough. Doesn't really matter. Ended up in the expansion draft, went to Montreal, and then he ended up back very shortly thereafter with the Dodgers to finish his career. So a great player. His son, he managed in the major leagues with Seattle. His son Bump was a decent Major League Baseball player with the Rangers and the Cubs, at least I know. Bump, and Bump became a manager in the minor leagues later on as well. So again, we'd like to give our condolences to the Wills family, and Godspeed, Maury Wills. Great job throughout your career. So we'll move on to Aaron Judge. Let's talk about Aaron Judge. We want to talk about Pujos. Pujos got to his 700th home run the other night with 2 on Friday night. Actually, only saw the first one. Couldn't stay up that late as it was a late game on the West Coast. What do you got here, Rick? No, I watch a lot of college football, and there's a lot of questionable targeting. Look, I've had this, and we'll get into this in the college football section here, Rick. I've had this problem for a couple of years now. The targeting rules in college have got to be reexamined because some of them are just atrocious, and we'll certainly jump more into that, in the second half hour of the show. Aaron Judge, the Yankees do win, by the way. We'll go around Major League Baseball a little bit and talk about some of the stories and carry the topics you guys want to talk about. But Aaron Judge, it's not like Aaron Judge. People are like, Aaron Judge is in a slump. He's not playing well. Well, he had 2 doubles to help the Yankees win on Friday night. A little bit of a tough day yesterday, but the Yankees are winning. They've won 6. They've pretty much wrapped up the division. They got an 8.5 game lead with 11 left. He's got plenty of time to get this done. And he's also still chasing the Triple Crown, let's not forget. Where are those stats, by the way? I don't know where he ended up. I wanted to look. And batting average is all that really matters right now for him. He is falling behind Bogart by 1 point. Again, this isn't carried out too far, so that could be less than 1 point, or it could be more. It gets rounded up, or rounded down, up, however they do it. So again, he's still very much alive for that Triple Crown race. And the Yankees continue to play pretty good baseball. I'm going to talk more about the Yankees because Harrison Bader's been very, very good. But Judge still struggling a little bit. There's probably some pressure on him here. The Maris family, I find it very interesting. The Maris family following him around here. They're all rooting for him to break the record. I think he'd like to do it in 154 games because that was a big stigma against Roger Maris back in the day. is that it took him 162 games to do what Babe did in 154. Never understood that. I remember just talking about it when I was 1 year old, but nobody listens to a 1 year old. I joke, I think. Not that nobody listens to a 1 year old. What was I going to say? Oh, I think he'd like to do it in 154 games, which he's still got 3 games to do that. He's got 11 to get it done. But back to the Maris family. I remember 97. And again, at least nobody would admit. People knew. I was all wrapped up in that race between McGuire and Sosa. The Maris family got wrapped up in it, just like they're wrapped up in it now. I think it's a little different that it's a Yankee chasing him. Plus, with all we know afterwards, and we should have known then, because when Mark McGuire was having interviews, he had, jars of creatine sitting in the back of his locker. And Major League Baseball ignored it because they needed that home run race to save Major League Baseball after the strike in 94. And Cal Ripken had helped a little bit by breaking the consecutive game streak the year after. But baseball needed this jolt. And the Maris family was there every step of the way as McGuire approached 62. He ended up with 70. So it's a little interesting. Here we are again, and they're celebrating. Now it's different because no matter how you want to look at it, 62 would be the American League record. And it's 61 years later, by the way, a little bit of nice symmetry there. I hope he gets it. And in my mind, he'll be the all-time leader when he does it, because as I'll mention a little bit with Pujols, his head is almost normal size. Yet some reporters, they should give they should all stop talking about Ohtani for MVP. If Neil Bush is here, I'm sure he'll speak up. And good morning, Alan. Good to have you with us. And good morning to you, Rick, if I didn't say good morning. Ohtani cannot, I do this every week now, and I will do it until the MVP voting comes out. As much as ESPN wants to pump Ohtani up, he's not the MVP of this league. A great player. Where are the Angels where are the Angels right now? And where are they without Ohtani? Where are the Yankees, and where would they be without Aaron Judge? That's how you determine who the most valuable player is. Good morning, CA. How are you? Great to have you with us this morning, as always. Or as always, I guess it's your second time. We are glad to see that you are becoming a regular here. I did see you join to the football pool, which we'll get into in the NFL section here in another, by probably the 9:30 half hour or so. And we'll go through the league standings. They did drop the worst week for you guys, so you'll see something different than you might have seen as it was adding them up through the week last week. I don't see it reached out to me to ask me about that. So it has dropped the worst week now that we've played 2 weeks. But welcome. Great to have you with us this morning. Is that a thumbs up, I hope? I can see the finger. I just couldn't see which one it is. By the way, here I go. Here comes the stream of consciousness part of the show. I have this argument with my wife all the time that I have 4 fingers and a thumb. The thumb is not a finger. The thumb is a thumb. If it was a finger, why wouldn't it just be called a finger? Sorry. If you guys want to comment, you're more than happy to do that. Alan, rather not talk about last night. I'm sure you feel the same. Listen, we'll get into that in a second, Alan. Not a good day. I'm going to talk about your comments, too, that you sent me about that, about Oklahoma. But we're going to get around baseball here a little bit first. So there's Judge. We talked about Judge, and we can certainly circle back here if somebody joins us here a little bit later. With the 8:30 hour, I know some of our people join us a little later than normal. So, we'll get into all of that a little bit. Now, the other big news of the weekend was Albert Pujols, who was stuck on 698 for a while. Friday night in Los Angeles, he hits number 699, which I did see, and promptly went to bed because it was about 11:30 here on the East Coast. And I did not see number 700. But Albert Pujols joins the 700 club. the fourth man to do that, and only one of three guys not to have had his head grow significantly during his career to the size of my, a giant pumpkin, if you get my meaning. So congratulations to Albert Pujols. A great career. He announced his retirement before the year. I was a little surprised him having done that baseball didn't give him a better send-off. Many players of lesser talent than Albert Pujols, I would argue, have gotten these little going away parties when they visited the visiting cities and their home park, obviously. And I'm sure St. Louis will do something for him before he's gone. But there wasn't a lot of focus on his last season. I think Albert changed that. He changed that narrative by going off in August. He only had, I don't know. He might have had 4 home runs, in the middle of August. And when he went off and started hitting home runs right and left, and 700 looked like he had no shot at it. Before the season, I wouldn't have thought he was going to get enough playing time. But a great job by Albert Pujols for sure. CA, what you got? Watching several different media outlets, listening more to you, and Belgian Open. What's PDC? Where are you, by the way? Didn't I think I asked you, CA. I think I asked you last week where you're located. Is that what? You know what? Yes, I agree. But this is the way of baseball, guys. This is the way of sports. We're all, and you know me, I'm a dinosaur stuck in the past. I do have Apple TV, so I did see it. There were cut-ins for Judge on ESPN. I think I don't know about for Pujols because I wasn't watching. I know that ESPN during their football games did some cut-ins when Aaron Judge would get up. But I don't think they did. I don't know if they did. They probably did when Pujols was as well. So did you get to see the whole games? No, but if you were following ESPN, you would have seen them cut in. They did it yesterday as well with Judge during the football games. So you look at it, had a lot of Yankee fans post that was not good. It's just a matter of where the game is. When he didn't do it Thursday night when they were on Yes. I mean, you could argue that a lot of people aren't going to see him on Yes either. So, but this is the way of this is just the way. You're not going to get a lot of over-the-air broadcasts. You get the Yankees now only about 10 games where you could get them somewhere other than cable or streaming TV. Same with the Mets. Same with most Major League Baseball teams. And this is just the way of the future. And I'm not saying it's good. You know me. I'm not one who just says, okay, well, I got to accept change because I'm not very good at doing that. So, yes. And by the way, the guys who did the Dodger Cardinal games seem to play it pretty straight. Watching the Boston Yankee game on Apple is their main announcing team is a freaking joke. It's like a clown show. That's my biggest gripe with Apple TV. Give me real baseball. Give me real baseball announcers. Oh my God. I hate to be a jerk, but gosh. Let's see what else we got here. Anything else? No, we'll move on to. I want to move on to getting around Major League Baseball, and I know Drew doesn't seem to be with us this morning. But if he is, he can certainly chime in, and we'll certainly go backwards around the league. Some big games yesterday. I just go through the scoreboard real quick. Yankees beat the Red Sox, as we know. Judge doesn't hit a home run. Yankees are in now with that Eastern Division. It's going to be a matter of getting guys healthy. I will tell you that Harrison Bader has made a huge difference this week already in just a handful of games. He made a great play in center field yesterday. He had 6 RBIs in his first couple of starts, or first 3 starts, I think, with the Yankees. And he's fast, and he's going to add a dimension to this team in the playoffs that was lacking. And they'll be better off in the outfield for it. Who plays left field is going to be a little bit up in the air, I think. And it's also going to depend on whether I still don't know about Benintendi, if he's done for the year or he's still got a shot. I think he's still got a shot to come back sometime during the playoffs. But they need to get LeMahieu healthy. So, and Cabrera may get some chances to play. I think he's acquitted himself very well since he came up. Has he set the world on fire? No, but he's played very, very well. CA, traveling stateside currently, unless unforeseen circumstances occur, a majority of late fall and much of the holiday season in Texas. All right, cool. Alan happens to be in Oklahoma, so you guys are neighbors. So I take it you are outside the country a lot. And when you say unforeseen circumstances, sounds ominous. CA, not knowing what you do, and if you can't reveal that, that's fine. But with the state of the world today, that kind of is a bit of an ominous statement, a little bit. If you feel like clarifying, you can feel free. In some other big games yesterday, the Braves with the biggest in the biggest race left division-wise, and it's a little bit of the luster's gone because of the wild card. You know, both of these teams are going to make it, the Mets and the Braves, but the division is still important because you avoid that wild card round, even though you would get all three games at home. The Braves do beat the Phillies 6-3, and Kyle Wright gets his 20th win, which is no small feat these days. So great job. Congratulations to Kyle Wright on his 20th win. And the Mets, oh my God, the Mets lose to Oakland. And my problem isn't that the Mets lose to Oakland. And Jacob deGrom has a stinker of a game, which is very odd. He did get squeezed a bit by Angel Hernandez and had a beef with him. Angel Hernandez should not even be Drew's working on, hang on a second. Drew's working on his consolation team for fantasy. As you've noticed, Rick, I haven't worked on mine a lot because, you know, to me, second place is the first loser. What's this? AKA Hurricanes. I'm not sure what that means. Unforeseen circumstances? Maybe Alan knows more about CA than I do. Anyway, back to the Mets. DeGrom has some issues with Angel Hernandez, who is the worst Major League Baseball umpire ever. My biggest problem with this whole situation, though, it's not that the Mets lost to the A's. It's why are the Mets out in Oakland as we're deciding the National League East pennant race? Everybody should be playing within their division in September, in my mind. And this is going to get worse with the new Major League Baseball schedule coming out next year. We're only going to play, I think, 54 division games compared to 76 or so right now. They already had diminished the division, the importance of playing well within your division when they first. I guess didn't expand, but expanded the playoffs, added a wild card, and they broke it down. Hell, you used to play 90 games within your division. Now you're going to play 54, and the Mets, and it's only going to get worse. Here we are with still 76. The Mets are in Oakland as they're trying to determine the National League East division winner. Now, they do have 3 big games next weekend, starting next Friday night with the Braves, which likely will determine this race. But for the Mets to be out in Oakland during this, it's just, you can't make it up. Angel Hernandez needs to go away. And how is Angel Hernandez even? He speaks on behalf of the umpires union with some of the issues going on and their squabbles with Major League Baseball. Goodbye. Come on, Angel Hernandez, get lost. Kenny Gifford, good morning. Up on the mountain, how are you? Probably a little chilly up on the mountain the last couple of nights, I would think, as we got into the 40s here in East Greenbush the last couple of nights. I'm guessing you may have, if you haven't had them, you're going to have frost warnings pretty soon. Other games, the Orioles really screwed up losing yesterday, by the way, because they had a chance to cut that wild card. They played the Astros, and the Astros did get to their 100th win, which Dusty Baker, let's see, what was the milestone Dusty Baker hit in this game? I don't really see why this is a milestone. Oh, I see. His first season with the Giants, he got to 100, never won 100 since then. Dusty's a good manager, by the way. I'm happy to see the Astros do well for Dusty. I can't root for him because of the Yankee situation, but anyway, they beat the Orioles yesterday. The Orioles would have had a chance to move within 2 games of the Rays in that wild card race, but they did not do it. They lost, and the Rays and Blue Jays have started to kind of really play. It's like they're on a treadmill. They're not going anywhere. Stop it. I've just been, it's going to be October soon. What other games? Any other games that really mattered? The Brewers won 10-2. They're still Hunter Renfroe homered twice and drove in 5. And Corbin Burns gets his 11th win. The Brewers needing to keep winning and chasing the Padres and the Phillies in that wild card race. So those are some of the important games yesterday. Let's jump right back to the standings now and see where we are. So again, real quick, we'll go through the divisions, and then we'll be moving on to some college basketball, college football. As I said, the Yankees have the East wrapped up, 8.5 game lead. Forget about it. The Guardians, they have the Central wrapped up, nothing to play for them. Their playoff positions locked in. All the first, second, and third spots are wrapped up. 4, 5, and 6 are not. And 7 could still knock out 6. Plus the whole order could play who's going to play who. It's a matter of who's going to play Cleveland in the first round at Cleveland and who will play each other and where. The Astros have got now a 16-game lead over the Mariners, who are really starting to kind of fade a little bit, as it were. And I don't like their chances now in the playoffs. Big news, which we'll talk about. They did sign Castillo to a big extension. The Mets and the Braves, as we talked about, a 1.5 lead still for the Mets. 1 game in the loss column. That's the big one, guys. 1 game in the loss column. Next week's series most likely determines this. Tough loss for the Mets in Oakland. And again, I will say one more time, ridiculous that the National League East pennant race is being decided by games played in Oakland. Not just because they're playing across the country, but they're playing interleague games when they're trying to decide a division race. And this is only going to get worse as we go forward. The Cardinals have pretty much wrapped up that Central of the National League, and the Brewers still trying to fight their way in, only 2 games behind the Padres and 3 games behind the Phillies. So those games are still way up in the air as far as as far as how this will all shake out before the season's over. It's amazing we're at the 25th and we still got 11, 10 games left for everybody. Usually we'd be looking at the last week of the season. Did you notice yesterday's game, 98-0? They kneeled for a 2-point try for 100. I would hope they did. I don't know what game that was, Kenny. I'm sure it wasn't in the FBS division. I don't know what to say about that. Scherzer pitches today. Again, my problem is they're out in Oakland. I can't get past this. This is nonsensical. This is where Major League Baseball really loses their mind. They don't understand the game and what is important or what should be important at all. And Major League Baseball, by the way, going back to the Judge situation, as I regress here, they haven't really made a big deal about this, if you've noticed. And I can only The only thing I can surmise from it is they don't want to start talking about why they looked the other way in 1997 when all this was going on. And so did I, and so did a lot of other people, to be clear. I got myself wrapped up in that race. I heard the stories and the whispers during, August about what was going on with both of these guys. And I chose to ignore it, just like Bud Selig and Major League Baseball chose to ignore it. And now Rob Manfred wants to bury his head in the sand, even though I don't care how you look at it. Aaron Judge is having a historic season, chasing a Triple Crown, chasing the Yankee and the American League home run record. Rob Manfred's nowhere to be seen. Rob Manfred isn't out in L.A. for Pujos' 700th home run either. He just doesn't get it. He doesn't care about the history of the game. He needs to go before he ruins this game entirely. DeGrom did lose last night. We already covered that, Carlos, and did not pitch well at all. And he got no favors from Stephen F. Austin was involved. So, yeah, I guess. Because they're playing FBS now, right? Who would they play? 98-0. God, do you play the Albany Metro Maulers? They used to have those kids playing for contracts. Whatever. I know you love talking about that, and that's wonderful. I'm glad they are there, and I'm glad they're playing competitive baseball. The Mets should not be out in Oakland on September 25th with a division on the line. Major League Baseball is clueless about how to run this sport. Clueless. So frustrating. Where was I? The Dodgers. We don't need to talk about that division. Let's look at the wild card quickly. And we'll go to a couple stories and we'll move to college football for a bit. So the American League wild card still right now looks pretty good for the three teams they're already in. They're going to jockey for position because there's only a game and a half separating them all. The Toronto has the first wild card. Tampa Bay, the second one, and the Mariners the third. And then the Orioles, as I said, missed a golden chance to get it to 2 yesterday. They lose to the Astros 11-10. Tough loss for them. They're still 4 games behind. So it's going to come down to, who's going to play Cleveland. Cleveland could play any one of these teams in 3 games, and the other 2 would play each other. And then that game, where those games will be played, because remember, those wild card games, it's a 3-game series now, not just a 1-game elimination, and the games are all played at the better team's record. Why not? What, that the Mets shouldn't be playing out in Oakland? Is that the why not? You guys got to give me something. Why not? Why not? Give me just like Mets A's. Why not? I don't know. Something. I need something. I'm going to assume, again, you're talking about the Mets out in Oakland. You shouldn't be playing interleague games that impact the division as the division's winding down the last week of the season. Nobody wants that. And Julio Rodriguez out for the rest of the season on the regular season, I think, right? He's not ruled out of the playoffs just yet. But we'll see how that works out. We'll talk about some of the news, too. That's a good point, though, as far as Seattle's really not been playing good baseball here for the last, maybe a month. Middling baseball at best. The Braves would have the number 1, obviously, wild card in the National League easily. And then it's a matter of who they're going to play, because you got the Padres and the Phillies only a half game apart. And you only got the Brewers a game and a half behind the Phillies. I picked the Brewers to win the World Series. If they get in, they're not going anywhere. Padres aren't going anywhere. Phillies got a puncher's chance maybe to get out of the first round. But we'll see. I probably do. I don't know about the stooge part, but the hot toddy sounds very good to me, Kenny. Atlanta's playing Philly. That's a big series. They're all big series. I do think we'll probably be right where we are when we get to next Friday, Mets and Braves, and that's what will determine its National League East, as it should. So the Phillies and the Phillies Braves is a division game. That's the way these divisions should be wrapped up. They're just and Major League Baseball continues to de-emphasize division play. If you're only going to play 54 games, do away with the frickin' divisions. Just put them all in one lump thing and put in the top 6 teams. I mean, God. But they are playing a Major League Baseball team, Kenny. But again, why am I having divisions when divisions mean nothing? And they're going to mean less going forward. You may not have heard my diatribe earlier about this. You shouldn't be determining division championships playing interleague baseball. It did lock up. I talked about that a little bit ago. We'll talk about that real quick. Logical schedules to decrease energy consumption are coming, whether inside. Actually, it's not, though. CA, how is that? That's not even close to being accurate. When you're going to play, they're going to play as many games on the West Coast or more because every team's got to play every team home and away. Mets and Yankees will make more trips to the West Coast theoretically than they make now. And then if you want to extend it to college football, you got a Big Ten that expands from the West Coast to New Jersey. USC doesn't make trips east of the Mississippi. Now they will. So will UCLA. So will whoever else joins the Big Ten. They're not making decisions based on energy consumption. Nor should they, by the way. But that's a topic for a different day. I don't know. Maybe CA works on the pipelines across the country or the world. I don't know. Bit of intrigue with CA and what he does and his comment about unless things go to hell. They are currently clueless, and that's very, very bad, right? Let's see what's going on. What else is going on here in the world of I want to get to college football here for a little bit anyway. Oh, some of the other news. Alan already touched on some of it. Come on, give me my Major League Baseball home, would you? I don't care about that right now. The big story is really going to be Judge the rest of the season now and that NL East. That's the big stories, right? Mariners and Castillo agreed to a 5-year, $108 million extension. So a good move by the Mariners getting him in the first place and a good move in extending him. Good young pitcher. The Yankees certainly were chasing him, as we said. We talked about Kyle Wright becoming the first 20-game winner. Winning 20 games is really an aberration in Major League Baseball today. We don't value wins because pitchers only pitch 5 innings, so why would we? Tony La Russa will not return to the White Sox this year. Doesn't matter now anyway. They're going to be eliminated here very shortly. I think you've seen the last of Tony La Russa. This team number one, didn't respond to him. Number two, he's 78 years old with a bad heart. This whole situation has been over. Having to have adjustments made, I think, to his pacemaker, if I'm not mistaken. And bench coach Miguel Cairo has been managing them for quite a while, and they did play good baseball up until recently. They played a 4-game losing streak, which really knocked them right out of the race, as Cleveland had played much better baseball than they had been in the past. So, listen, I still think this White Sox team will get broken up come the postseason, starting with Aaron Boone. The Dodgers put Dustin May, a key contributor to their bullpen. Oops, hold on. Jesus, good grief. Anyway, they put Dustin May on the IR. Hopefully he'll be back for the playoffs for them. He's been a key contributor to that team going forward. I'll get to your comments here in a little bit. Anything you guys want to talk about we can. Boone talks about the quest for 62 not taking a toll on Judge. I don't think it is. He hasn't played bad baseball. He's gone 4 games without hitting a home run. I mean, that's not – is that a slump? He had 2 doubles to help them win the game Friday night. Glasnow is going to return for the Rays. Big boost for them in their playoff chances, but they do put Brandon Lowe and Shane Baz out. They are now out for the season. They've been contributors for that team this year as well. And back, Jesus, what is going on here? Back to the Braves. They had to put this is a big move for them. Spencer Strider, who's had a very, very good season for Atlanta. They just signed to a long-term contract as well, is now going to be on the IL, and it's going to be up in the air whether he will be available for the playoffs. So some big news across baseball there. Anything else I wanted to chat about? Then I'll go to your guys' comments, and we'll move on. The Dodgers did remove Kimbrel, by the way, from the closer role. The thing about the Dodgers, I said, could be their Achilles tendon, could be that bullpen. And now they're probably going to go with as far as I know, they're going to go with I guess a committee, because I have not seen that they've named somebody. Maybe you have Allen or Drew. I don't think Drew's with us, but we'll see what happens there. Ken Krimble's best years are way behind him. So, all right, let me get to your comments and we'll wrap up the baseball part of this here. And see, back into the mix where, I mean, I don't even know where that comment comes from. Kind of how like Pittsburgh's NFL schedule has them staying on the East Coast all year. A little bit different, but yes. Who's Judge? I did meet Judge Judy, yes. She's the big story this week. She continues to put, career criminals behind bars. Guardians have been playing good baseball. Got to watch out for them. Kenny wants all baseball canceled. I haven't reached that point yet. Listen, Miguel Cairo did a good job with the White Sox, and this team is going to get broken up. I hope Miguel Cairo gets considered for this full-time position. Tony La Russa's done. And Tony La Russa, yes, I'm going to guess he has, because I do believe he may have had an incident earlier in the year where he got pulled over. Look, Tony's had a great career, even though I think he's helped ruin baseball with his specialization of pitching staffs going back to the 80s with the Oakland A's. But Tony La Russa's had a good career, but it's over. Good morning, Bill Pulver. And yes, he alludes to my grandpa-itis. Got to visit my granddaughter again yesterday, and she is the sweetest thing I've ever seen. Next to me, of course. I think she gets her sweetness from me. Not. If you're not hitting HRs in today's games, they consider it a slump. Well, again, that's the ESPN mentality. ESPN and the video game mentality of baseball. And that's why baseball's, not as popular, because nothing's going on for so much of the game. Walks, strikeouts, home runs, 2/3 of the game, nothing's happening. Has Anderson come back? Has Anderson? I'm not sure. Rick, what do you got? Maybe you got to follow up. Has Anderson come back up for the Braves? I have not seen where Ian Anderson has come back up. It's a good question, Rick. Let me check the. It's something I was wondering about before, actually. I have not read where he has, though. And I'm a little surprised. I thought they'd bring him back up for the playoff run. Ian Anderson is not currently on the Major League roster. Does not mean they couldn't make adjustments where he was on the roster for the playoffs, but he had a tough year this year. I still think he'll be a really good Major League pitcher. Had a few growing pains here in his second full year, but we can expect him to be back. You won't have to worry about Judge after the playoffs, as the Red Sox will have him on the outfield next year. Doubtful. Very doubtful. It is mutually beneficial for Judge and the Yankees to get together on a deal. They're both Judge's a better. It's a better deal for Judge to be in New York with everything that goes with it and be the face of that franchise and get himself a monument. You know, just look at this home run chase. Is all you need to know about why Aaron Judge is a bigger deal in New York. This would not be as big a deal if he was playing in Boston or if he was playing in San Francisco. In Tony's defense, how many of us could coach today's players at any level? Well, that's a good point. That's a really good point, Rick. Aaron Boone can't do it. Red Sox and about 5-6 teams will make a run for Judge, but I see him in Boston. I see him in New York. I think it's at least 65-35 he returns in New York. But teams will play. The Yankees will pay as they could pay as much as $100 million more than they would have paid in March. So good job, Brian Cashman. Class act for a kid to give Judge is just a class act. Remember the deal with the kid in Toronto? The public relations part of Aaron Judge and the Yankees is as big as what he contributes on the field. I keep saying it. The Yankees don't see it. Another reason Brian Cashman, with his little freaking blinders on, doesn't get it. Ian Anderson had an oblique injury and was shut down for the rest of the season. There you go. Good call. Ian Anderson, by the way, starting pitcher for the Braves right here in the Capital, from right here in the Capital District, Shenandoah High School. I don't see him in Boston. I don't see him anywhere but New York. He won't be a Met. It would be very interesting if he was, and embarrassing for the Yankees on so many levels. So many levels. Let's switch topics. If you guys got a little more baseball, you can throw them out there. But let's move over to where do I want to go here? I want to go to the let's talk a little bit college football. Some interesting stuff happened yesterday in the top 25. Not the least of which, Oklahoma loses, probably the highest ranked team to lose, if I'm not mistaken. Oklahoma loses to Kansas State. Not surprising. Kansas State plays well against Oklahoma, has had their number for a couple seasons. Probably got caught looking ahead to Oklahoma last week when they lost to Tulane. That Big 12 is going to be wide open. And I'm not sure that the winner of that conference won't have a couple losses. I know Alan sent me a message this morning saying he didn't think Oklahoma was out of the race. Well, out of the playoff race, by the way. The 4-team college football playoff race. I don't think a one-loss team, unless somehow Georgia or Alabama loses 2 games, and even then, I'm not sure they'll get in over one. Wouldn't get in over one loss. Big 12 team. All things being equal, if Alabama or Georgia has one loss and loses the SEC championship game, they're going to the playoff. And then you got Ohio State, the SEC winner, Georgia, and the runner-up in the SEC, most likely. So, anyway. I don't think Oklahoma is still in a race. I really don't, because I think they'll lose again. I think they're going to lose to Oklahoma State. And maybe they'll lose again. This Big 12 is wide open. Texas loses to Texas Tech yesterday. Called that game, I believe, on Wednesday night's college football huddle. Elsewhere, Miami was atrocious. And I'll get to your guys' comments. We got some comments already. Maybe we'll play off your guys' comments here, and I'll get to my stuff here. I missed Porciano. If Judge was outside New York, everyone would be talking about how much the Yankees would be paying him. Well, you know what? It's a very good point. So I believe CA is saying if Judge played somewhere else, was going to be a free agent, they'd be talking about how much the Yankees would pay him. My problem, and I'm regressing a little bit in this, I'll move on, I promise. I've said forever, the Yankees love everybody else's players more than theirs. Look at CC Sabathia, look at Alex Rodriguez, look at Stanton, look at as many guys you want to look at. Oh, you're not wrong, CA. Big 12 is going to be tough to get through this year. That's right. That's why I think there'll be more than 2 losses for this team. Even with 1 loss, I don't think this is a team that gets into the playoff. Carlos was on Robert's shows and said Miami could lose. You said Miami could lose? I want to see the tape. That's a pretty specific game for you to dive into, Carlos, but I'll take your word for it. Send me the tape, though. Horrible loss for Miami yesterday. They just got beat. They got manhandled. Embarrassing loss. Again, I thought things would change under, and maybe they will, under Cristobal, but right now it looks like same old Miami team. They lose a game they should have won to Texas A&M because they couldn't put the ball in the end zone. Seen that story 100 times. They get blown out yesterday against Middle Tennessee. Van Dyke, hyped for the Heisman, hyped for a first-round draft pick, gets benched. More of the same. So frustrating. You can see the Hurricanes, but you can't see it right now. But whatever, Middle Tennessee State. You're right. Middle Tennessee State, they still shouldn't be beating Miami Hurricanes. You can see Miami's made it to the bottom left-hand corner. You can't even see him. I put him behind my shoulder. Oh, anyway, where are we here? Why even play the season? Why not? How could I mean, are you telling me the college football season doesn't mean anything, Kenny? Because it does. But I'm telling you, if it plays out that way, it's still you still got to play the games because I don't know. Alabama could lose 2 games in the SEC for all I know. I don't see it. Big 12 hasn't had a true conference for years. Yeah, well, with the first migration of realignment, Sal, and welcome to the show this morning, Sal. Had a great time with you guys on the Liberty Bell Smack the other night. Put up a little. If you want to put a comment in, I'll certainly put a little. Give you guys a little plug here in a little bit too. Again, as I did at the top of the show. But once teams began to evacuate long before Texas and Oklahoma, they've become a non-factor. It goes all the way back to 2012 when Nebraska, I know what's happened to Nebraska since, and even before they weren't the Nebraska of the past. Texas A&M, they lose. That started the whole downfall of the Big 12. Colorado going to the Pac-12. I know Colorado is not a good football team right now, but partly because they left the Big 12. You leave your recruiting base. You're nuts. Middle Tennessee State. Yes, I remember. Okay. Allen has been a promoter in Kansas. I'll give him credit. You're going to lose to TCU next week, by the way. TCU is really good. Sonny Dykes is a good football coach. They beat up on his old school, SMU. TCU's his alma mater. TCU is going to be very tough in that conference this year. You watch. They may not win it. They may not even come close to win it, but they will play spoiler, and they'll beat Kansas next week. You can make a case for 6 or 7 big – well, you have to tell me you can do that, but you can't make a blanket statement. If you want to give me the 6 or 7 teams, then you give me the 6 or 7 teams that need to go out. And, of course, this week there's going to be some big changes. Miami will be out. But, again, maybe. I'm not sure about that. It's going to be a good conference. It's going to be a very there's going to be a lot of parity in that conference. Teams are going to beat each other up, which is why they're not going to get in the playoff. And I will still tell you Oklahoma State is the best team in that conference. I said that from the beginning. I'll say it again. It's possible, Kenny, because the SEC is, again, another team. Everybody's better. Kentucky's better. I still can see Kentucky getting to that Georgia game undefeated, and that's going to become a really, really fun game to watch. Well, I would hope that was your upset pick, Carlos. Right now, easily the conference at the best is the SEC. Look, it's good. It's really good at the top. It's really good in the middle. The Big Ten can't hold a prayer to them. The Big Ten, I don't know if the Big Ten's as deep. Maybe they are. As the Big 12. Team to watch in the Big Ten is Minnesota. Minnesota's really good. They were favored on the road against Michigan State yesterday, and Mel Tucker may have gotten the the extension he got might have been a little bit premature for Michigan State to wrap themselves up in Mel Tucker so quickly as they did, but they have not played well since he got that extension. But I would say the SEC, again, I get on the SEC guys, as you heard me Wednesday night, but the SEC is by far the best team, best league, and best conference, and also the deepest. I mean, Mississippi and Mississippi State are better than Iowa. Wisconsin's terrible. Miami loses. Florida State's 4-0. And this would not have been a big surprise. You say, what a world we live in, Alan. But, Florida State was a power for 30 years, maybe more. This is a big, big season for Mike Norvell in Florida State, and they need to win. And now they're in play in the ACC. Another good conference, by the way, Bill. ACC gets a bad rap. The problem with the ACC and the Big 12, and even the Big 10 to some extent, and they're a little bit different. The Big 10 is really good at the top, but not as good in the middle as the SEC. ACC is not as good at the top, but they're deep with some really good teams. Same with the Big 12, but they're not great teams. They're not Alabama. They're not Georgia. But some of those teams could knock some of those top dogs off. Arkansas losing to Texas A&M, not an upset for sure. The game was played in Austin. Why Texas A&M is playing their games at Jerry World is beyond me. Because they lose some of their advantage not playing in front of the 12th man and whatnot. But A&M, I thought, was impressive last night. They fell behind quickly, 14-0. It looked like it was going to be ugly, but they fought hard. They played good defense the rest of the way. They had some big stops. One argument that I have, because I bet Texas A&M -2 last night, why you're going for a 2-point conversion after you score and make the game 14-13 in the first half, I don't understand, Jimbo. Get your head out of your butt. So I lose. Tri-Valley, Kenny says, is the best league. Maybe so at one time. Wake Forest defense ran out of gas. Again, the defense is still a huge problem there. There was a great game. If you watch Clemson, Wake Forest, it was a great, great game. Hartman played well. DJ impressed the heck out of me for Clemson. He's a better quarterback than he's been in the past. And this was going to be a track meet. We knew it from the beginning, and it turned out to be just that. Did bet the over in that game. Beavers gave USC a game last night. I think you see that high-powered USC offense, when they run into a real defense, is not so high-powered, which we'll certainly talk to Mark Mancini about a bit at the top of the hour. And I have no idea. Georgia was about a 40-point favorite yesterday Now, I got to give them the benefit of the doubt. They're going in the SEC play. They don't want to come out of this game injured. I'm sure they weren't totally fired up for Kent State. Kent State, we're not talking Albany State, right? So look, it is what it is. I wouldn't be too concerned about that score myself. UT Florida, it was a long game. I got off that game. It was 11 for Tennessee. I had myself talked into betting it. I didn't, thankfully, as UT gave up a late score to Florida to cut that game to, I think, 5. But a fun game. Look at Carlos's Rocky Top team playing really well. They'll beat somebody good. It's not Florida. Florida's not that good. They're just not that good. There's still a lot of work to be done there. They're not a good defense. Quarterback has not played well since the Utah game. Just a lot of problems there. What else we got here? If you know the playoff teams already, then just play the playoff games. I said what I predict, Kenny. Again, you still have to play the season. I've been wrong many times before. What I'm telling you is if these teams finish with those records, Oklahoma doesn't get in. The Big 12 winner might get in, but things have to break right. Don't be shocked. I mean, you could see two teams from the Big 10, 2 teams from the SEC get in, depending on how the records break. If Michigan and Ohio State, get to their game, well, they can't both get to the conference championship game. So I guess that one's not necessarily. Well, look at Minnesota. Minnesota's going to be going up the rankings with a bullet here soon. You can see a lot of things going on. 14-team. Don't be surprised if there isn't a 14-team conference next year in the Big 12. Do not be surprised if Oklahoma and Texas are gone by next year. And that's the problem with these big conferences, right? Not everybody can play everybody. Bye-bye. The coach of Middle Tennessee says before the bowl game or not. Bye-bye. The coach of Middle Tennessee. Oh, I see. Interesting. Listen, this is something that really always irks me, that these teams, especially teams like Middle Tennessee, have really good seasons to get to a bowl game and their coach takes another job before he even can coach there. See Brian Kelly last year. Brian Kelly's done that twice, by the way. Brian Kelly took Cincinnati to the Sugar Bowl before he took the Notre Dame job and didn't coach his team in the Sugar Bowl. At that point in time, Cincinnati getting to the Sugar Bowl was a really big deal. Hate that crap. Don't let guys sign before the season's over. I think the same may happen in the Pac-12 with both big boys leaving. Pac-12's in big trouble, Sal. Big trouble. Iowa beat Rutgers. They beat them up pretty good, too. I don't remember. I didn't see the final, but I know when I saw it, they were up like 27 or something like that. So Iowa's defense wakes up against Rutgers. BYU beat Iowa State. I liked Iowa State in that game, too, actually. It was at Ames, and I thought that they would play much better than they did. Well, he didn't just now forget to coach against Clemson. He never beat Clemson. He's like 0-14. Dabo's never lost to Wake Forest. And Clausen's never beat him. PJ Flesh, he's a great coach too. He's a wild man. This guy, I'd be shocked. I'm shocked he's still at Minnesota to begin with, to be honest with you. But I'd be shocked if he's still coaching that team next year. Great coach. They dig deep. They do dig deep nowadays. They're playing really good football, and they might be the best team in the Western Conference there, or Western Division of the Big Ten. Kansas State beat Oklahoma, which we've already talked about. I can see them dropping Texas because of their loss. Texas is out of the Texas should be out of the top 25. I agree. K-State and K-State's moving in for sure. Kansas probably should. Miami will fall out. Well, let me take a quick look since we're talking about it. I don't want to spend too much more time because we got to get to the NFL. Let's look quickly at the rankings, see who's going to fall out. Can I get your Kansas team in? 23 votes last week. Miami falls out. They're number 25 this week. Pittsburgh probably fall. No, Pittsburgh will stay in. Now, Pittsburgh could fall out. They didn't blow out Rhode Island. Texas will likely fall out. Wake Forest should stay in even with their loss. Florida could fall out. BYU could fall out. I think they'll hang in there. Washington, by the way, best team in the Pac-12, I'll tell you right now, is the Washington Huskies. Watch out for the Washington Huskies. Excuse me. So anyway, that's the only teams that are going to fall out. Maybe Florida. Probably Texas. Maybe Pittsburgh. Definitely Miami. And Oklahoma won't drop that far, I guess. Oklahoma will probably drop. You're right. They'll drop it. They'll drop out of the top 10. What do you got here, Kenny? Thanks, Rick. What did Rick do? Did I miss something Rick posted I should have? I don't know. I guess not. Oh, wait, we still got more comments. We're never going to get through college football today. Pick Clemson because Dabo, that's not how you say his name, but that's okay. Plays okay defense. Yeah, they played great defense yesterday, Carlos. So that's probably a really good reason to pick them. They held them to only 50-some points. Great job. Napier got the quarterback to play better in the Utah game. He played better, but I still not impressed. This team's not going to win a lot of games in the SEC, I don't think. 2007 is the reason we play the season. Go back and I agreed. I can't go back to 2007 right now, though, but you're not wrong. Can you name the last time Alabama wasn't in the playoffs? I'm going to say, well, Nick Saban's first year, I know they weren't there. And why wouldn't they be in it? The better question is, of those years, Kenny, what years shouldn't they have been there? I think there was only 1 year where there might have been a little bit of controversy with Alabama being in. I don't care. I mean, Alan, that could blow up. We don't look at. Do you really think anything in the NCAA is set in stone a year before? They can blow these schedules up in a freaking heartbeat. Don't be shocked if that's not. Again, I'm not saying they're going, but I'm not saying the schedules for next year has been put in place. So what? Everything in college football is fluid. Players, coaches, schedules, teams in their conferences. We could find teams moving next year for all we know. Once TV starts renegotiating contracts, and we'll do it if so-and-so moves early, you already saw it happen in the Big 12, where the arrival of these teams. Now, I know it was announced before the season started. And again, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that isn't, to me, all, everything we got to look at. Which game? I don't know which game that is. Stock still will be. Why? Why would he be there forever? If you're beating Power 5 teams, guess what? You're not staying at that school you're at forever. Oh, was. Gotcha. I thought you said he will be. My bad. He does. He will get that shot most likely if he wins these types of games. Oh, Baylor. Yeah, I wasn't even reading what you wrote. I just know Iowa State won or lost. I think Neil is saying he went away from the running game. I must be missing some comments. I'm not getting all these comments for some reason, guys. So I apologize. If I'm not getting your comments, I'm not skipping you. They may not be showing up. I'm not sure. Huskies are in a mix to move up. I like Washington. Washington's really good, and they've got a good coach. I think the Huskies are back. I think they're the best team in the Pac-12. We're going to find out as conference play gets really geared up. And Washington's got a good history. Sal's got to leave early again. Thanks again. Great show as always. Here's the info you asked for. Liberty Bell Smack with Mark Mancini, Marianne Costello, and Sal Tartaglia on WWDB AM Talk Radio 860. You can use the app. There's a lot of ways you can find it. They also will live stream their show to Facebook, which we did last week, as you see here. Sal, thanks for that. Thanks for having me on. I had a blast with you guys last Thursday, and we got some more comments. I want to get to the NFL. 2015, they lost to Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl. Good catch. Dabo. You're thinking you want him to be the Giants coach. That's why you said that. Hooker versus Richardson. I don't think Richardson's not in the Heisman talk. Hooker's playing himself into the conversation. I will agree with that. Richardson is not in the Heisman. He's not better than Bryce Young. He's not better than C.J. Stroud. Hooker's not even as good as those two guys. I think the Heisman comes down to those two guys. Hooker will play himself into the conversation potentially. Pac-12 will suffer like the Big 12 when the big boys, they're going to suffer worse than the Big 12. The Big 12 did a little bit better reinforcing themselves, and they may go raid the Pac-12 as well for a couple of teams like Washington, like Oregon. So, again, let's move on to the NFL, guys, real quick, because we'll have Mark Mancini coming in here around the top of the hour. And we'll do some of the football picks. Maybe we'll do our picks while Mark's with us at 10 o'clock. But we'll talk more about. Where's my NFL? All right, where are we after week 2 in the NFL? Let me do this before I forget. I want to give you guys the standings, and I don't know who some people are still yet because they have not shared, they have not changed their name. So I'm just going to guess. If this is you, please speak up, and maybe I'll chat with you about how to change it. So after 2 weeks, and remember, the worst week gets dropped. Drew's worthless picks. Drew's not with us today. Has 11 wins. He leads. ESPN fan, blah, blah, blah. Picks 2. I don't know who that is. It has 10 wins. If you're here, speak up. TGI Sports Talk with 9 is second. Headless Horseman, don't know who you are. Speak up. Excalibur, I believe that is CA, jumps in at 9 wins. S. Craw, don't know you, S. Craw. Hope you're watching with us. Let us know. He's got 9 wins. We got another blank pick. ESPN something picks 1, 9 wins. Pedro T, I'm not even sure who Pedro T is. Maybe that's Carlos. I don't know. 8 wins. There's a Mad New Yorker. Sorry, he's got 8 wins. Another mystery guy with just his ESPN fan logo. If you guys can change those, let us know. Perth Red Raiders, who is Rick, with 7 wins. Boomer Sooner, who is Alan, with 6. Retired pot smoking guy, we all know who that is, 5. Hale Mills Golf Pro, which is Chris Matheson, 4. And then we got another, I'm guessing one of these guys that hasn't changed their name is Mancini, and I'm going to guess he's the guy who hasn't made any picks. That would be my guess. So anyway, anybody who steak sandwich in sports, by the way, Rick, I don't know if Sal's still here, but they asked me to do a quick promo cut when I was on, and I said when I'm in Philadelphia chasing Mark Mancini around for steak sandwiches that he owes my listeners, I listened to Liberty Bell Smack. That was my quick promo that I did for them. I did see that CA was Excalibur. Yeah, You're not Carlos. You're the Mad New Yorker. I know what you're saying. I don't know who Pedro is. I don't know who Pedro is or Steve Crawford. Obviously, I don't know who the ones who have not relabeled their names. My guess is the one with no picks in 2 weeks is probably Mancini. That'd be my guess. So anyway, where are we after 2 weeks? What do we know? Do we know anything? I know Buffalo's the best team in the league. Buffalo with a big test, and Miami with a big test. That's a big game today. Buffalo going to Miami where they've struggled historically. I think they're out without 4 starters on defense. But I think Buffalo's got too much firepower. I'm still not sold on Miami. I think that game was much a testimony to Baltimore's bad defense as I do Miami's good offense. But look at Miami's going to be in the hunt here. But Buffalo, if we learned one thing, and I know Carlos and maybe some other people are going to tell me it's very early. CA came in swinging. He did. Good job. One more quick thing on college football before I cut us off there. Alabama missed playoff twice the inaugural year in 2013. Oh, I was thinking about him, it being much longer. I forgot. Micah Hyde out for the season. We did see that. Yes, that'll be a blow to the Bills. But look, I've seen nothing that tells me the Bills aren't the best team in football. They lead the league in points scored. They lead the league in points allowed. I know it's 2 weeks, but they played the defending champion. I don't care if it was week 1. After a few weeks, you start to see something. I don't need to wait the entire month of September. I do know the Patriots will be bad through September. They got a decent chance to be 2-2, which is all I hoped for when the season started. But there are some things that we can say are real, and we can see some things that we aren't quite so sure. Let's take the Bills being 2-0 and looking like the best team in football. They're definitely one of the best teams in football. There's no getting around that. But then you look at teams like the Giants at 2-0. Are the Giants for real at 2-0? Defense is really good. Saquon Barkley looks to be as fully recovered as he's going to be. And I said last year, give him a year, not just to get over the physical part of that surgery, but the mental part. And he's playing really good football. Eagles playing good. I still have my doubts about them and Jalen Hurts. The Vikings look like the same old Vikings with Kirk Cousins. You can certainly speak up to that if you'd like, Rick. Has Kirk Cousins ever won a game with the lights on in the stadium is my question. Yes, I know they play indoors, so I should probably rephrase that. Has he ever won a game outdoors with the lights on? Are the Buccaneers are 2-0. But there's some problems in Tampa. I'm sorry. Bruce Arians, what is he doing on the sideline? Why inciting that whole riot, by the way, last week when you saw Mike Evans get thrown out? Bruce Arians is there not only jabbering with the other team, but also telling Mike Evans as he headed off the field to go back out there and defend his quarterback. Shut up, Brett. Number one, you kicked yourself off the sideline. You're not even supposed to be there by league rule. Plus, it's not a good look for your head coach. Bruce Arians, another guy who thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. I think there's problems in Tampa Bay. San Francisco loses Trey Lance for the season, so now you don't have that going for you as far as finding out about his progress. And how about teams in trouble? And I'm going to get to your guys' comments here in a second. I'm going to give you a few more comments of mine. Big games today with teams that are 0-2, the Bengals. 0-3, you don't make the playoffs as a rule. Doesn't mean you won't, but as a rule, you don't. I think the Colts got a big game today. I think the Titans got a big game today. The Raiders got a big game today. McDaniel's not off to. He's the worst thing could have happened to him was getting off to this start that he's getting off to in Vegas. And then you got the Panthers and Matt Rule in desperation mode today as well. Cowboys and Giants, a big game this week. Packers and Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers will lose to the Packers at home. My boy keeps, I can't bet it because every time I bet against Brady, he kills me. Patriots and Baltimore, I think a game you're going to find out about one of these teams. It's got a chance that the other does not. All right, let me get to some of your comments so we can do this before well, you're consistent. It's right. Swinging, yes. Hitting, much, no. Well, you didn't get 9 wins, so that's not terrible. Bills and Dolphins have crazy injury reports. Bills, yeah, both of them. Good point. And the problem is the Bills have 4 guys ruled out, I believe, on defense. We'll see. Cousins 2-10 on Monday Night Football. Only team he has beaten is Chicago. Well, if they play Chicago every week, they'll be better off. Tampa has a younger and faster defense. They need one more wide out, and they'll be okay. How about their offensive line? It's terrible. Terrible. In my mind, in the past game, Fournette didn't run the ball great last week. He ran the ball good in the first game. Look I'm still going to take the Rams as my team out of the NFC East just because the NFC to get to the Super Bowl, because there is nobody I can just say that team is really good. Packers have their issues. The Bucs have their issues. The NFC East has their issues. The NFC North has their issues. Still not backing off that. We don't know. We have no way to know that, Kenny. We have no way to know. You may very well be right, but we weren't going to know this year. And now the reports are that Jimmy G was on his way to Washington, but the deal fell apart because Washington wasn't sure about his health. Well, there you go. Alan, you're doing this to me all the time. They backed off because of the surgery and name redacted. It's a team formerly known as the Redskins. Green Bay and Tampa Bay will be insightful for sure. I think both of these teams have their issues, and we're going to find out which one. Look, Tampa's still got Tom Brady at quarterback. I did say in our NFL preview that Tampa Bay would not make the playoffs, but I also picked Carolina to win that division. I think that's a weak division. And I don't think you're going to see Tampa Bay win 12 or 14 games. I really don't. Well, I throw a ball to Scotty Miller, and Cole Beasley's never excited me ever. Another guy who doesn't shut up. Bill's safety, Micah Hyde will miss the rest of it. Yeah, we talked about that, Billy, and it's a big loss for the Bills for sure. But again, I think this Bills team is deep. We're going to find out how deep today. And look at Josh Allen is playing at a different level. Josh Allen right now is the best quarterback in football. I don't know how you can't say he isn't. He's added a dimension to his game, and that's accuracy. I watched him in that first game against the Rams, and he played like Tom Brady in the first half. Just taking what was given him. Wasn't trying to force anything, took what was given him. If Josh Allen's going to play like that and also have that, that ability to take broken plays and even set plays and run the ball the way he does, and I mean, he takes on linebackers. He's a big guy. It's a good thing. You can't take that away from him. That's his game, and that's what makes him special. But you don't want to be doing it with the game, wrapped up. I can tell you that right now. If you're a Mayfield fan, enjoy his farewell season. I'm not a fan, but I did think he was going to fare better in Carolina than he has so far, and it could be just growing pains. We'll see. Big game for Carolina this week. But remember, they were in both these games. They could have won both games they played. Cowboys get Michael Gallup back for Monday Night Football. We're going to find out a lot about the Giants, even though Dak's out. And I know Kenny doesn't love Dak. Cooper Rush, as Alan will tell you, is a serviceable guy for a couple of games maybe. But I'm telling you, this Giant team, somebody was trashing Daniel Jones. I don't know. Here I am, not a Giant fan, not a Jet fan. I got to defend these guys to their own team, their own core of fans. Daniel Jones, for you to tell me, is not playing good football, is playing acceptable, mistake-free football. What else do you want from Daniel Jones? I keep saying this over and over again. If Daniel Jones had been drafted in the middle of the second round, you guys would be ecstatic with his development over the last few years and still high on him. It's not his fault the Giants overreached and picked him 6. Now, do I think he's going to be a top quarterback in this league? Never. Do I think he can win at Super Bowls? A Brad Johnson type of quarterback? Yeah. Brad Johnson pops in my mind because his son plays for Texas A&M as a starting quarterback now, by the way. Oh, what else you got here? What else is going on news-wise in the NFL before I move on to doing some picks or whatever else we got to do here? Maybe I'll do my picks. I'm going to do my picks right now. You guys can put up whatever comments you might want to put up. I'm going to do my picks for you right now. So everything is on the up and up in the pigskin pick'em. I did have Cleveland minus 5.5 on Thursday night. That was a winner. I've got the Bears minus 2.5 over the Texans. Not much to choose from here. Both these teams are not very good, but I like the Bears at home. I'm going to take the Raiders in desperation mode. Both these teams, 0-2, the Titans and the Raiders, need to have a victory because the season hangs in the balance for the team that does not win here. You got 2 quarterbacks that I don't trust in Derek Carr and Tannehill, but I think the Raiders and Josh McDaniel are going to find a way to get this done. I'm going to take the Chiefs on the road minus 6.5. I don't like laying that much on the road to a decent football team with a good running game, but I'm not sure Matty Ice has got it anymore. Kansas City's played pretty good football up until now. I said all along the demise of the Kansas City Chiefs is greatly demised. They've run the ball better this year. They've played better defense, and I think you'd better be careful here. I think they will beat the Colts and cover the spread today. I'll lay the 5.5 with the Bills. I thought about changing this game up, but I will continue to take the Bills just because until they don't win a game by 20, I'm going to be all over them and ride them until they don't. And I do think they're on a mission. I think they want to prove that they're the best team in football. This team will go far. They'll overcome these injuries, and the offense, I think, will carry them today. This could be a high-scoring affair. Might be want to take the over in this game. The Lions going to the Vikings, minus 6.5. I'll take the Vikings at home here. Kirk Cousins without the spotlight on him. I know the Lions are playing better, Alan, but still, I'm not going to get excited at 1-1. They could have lost that game to the Redskins last week. Redskins actually came back with a chance in that game, and, Carson Wentz is Carson Wentz. The New England Patriots at home against Baltimore. You're never going to see me take anybody but the Patriots anyway, but you give me 3.5 at home with 2 teams that are fairly equal here. The only place the Ravens outshine the Patriots is maybe the quarterback. And he's got no weapons. His weapons are worse. Everybody talks about the weapons on the Patriots. Ravens can't run the ball. Dobbins is back this week from a knee injury, but he's still banged up. He's got no place to throw the football. I'll take the Patriots plus 3.5 at home. I'll take the Bengals, another team in desperation mode. Jets got a gift last week when Nick Chubb didn't, sit down on the 1 yard line and let the clock run out. They could have ended that game and they didn't. So again, good job by the Jets taking advantage of a gift they were given. But the Bengals are desperate this week, and unless the Jets play really good defense and really get to Burrow, which they could, I see the Bengals winning on the road this week and covering a spread. I'm going to take again. I love home dogs, and if you're going to give me almost a touchdown, can't wait to see what this game is in the cigar box. Redskins team formerly known as the Redskins, getting 6.5 at home against the Red Hot Eagles. They're playing well. They look like the best team in the division right now, but I'll take the points at home. I'll take another team in desperate mode, getting points at home. Carolina over the Saints. Winston looked a little bit like the old Jameson Winston last week, turning the ball over. We'll see if that becomes a trend here. He does not have Sean Payton leading the charge this year, and that could be a big difference for the Saints and Jameis Winston. The Chargers at home against the Jaguars. The Jaguars are playing really well. I'm tempted to take the 7.5 here, but the Chargers are good. If Herbert is okay and doesn't get hurt any worse, I will lay the points here, and I think the Chargers will have a 10, 12-point win here. The Cardinals I'll take at home, getting 3.5 against the Rams. As much as I like the Rams, they haven't shown me enough this year yet to say, okay, they should be a 3.5-point favorite on the road. They almost blew the game last week to Atlanta. Another tough loss for Keith in a cigar box. They're leading that game by plenty. In a game nobody cares about, the Falcons will go to Seahawks. I'll take Seahawks minus 1.5 at home. Have no idea why, but I will. I'm gonna take the points with the Packers at Tampa Bay and a 2.5 matchup of all-time great quarterbacks and two teams that maybe are not as good as what we think they are. This game may tell something today, as CA said earlier, and I'll get to your comments here in a second. The Broncos. I'm going to take the Broncos over the 49ers. I'm not sold that Jimmy G's arm's okay, shoulder's okay. We'll find out today. I'm not really high on the Broncos overall, but again, decent football team getting points at home. A lot of home dogs to take a look at today, guys. And I'm going to take the Giants at home, laying a 2.5 against Allen's Dallas Cowboys. So those are my picks, just to make sure we're all on the same page. And there's no question. So let's, I'll go back here. I guess this one here, we got that one. So I think it's after that. Trashing Daniel Jones has been a New York tradition for years now. Agreed. But again, if he was a second-round pick, you guys would love him. I mean, I love him. Cooper Rush may pull out another ugly win, just like last week. That genius Kellen Moore needs to listen. That whole coaching staff will be gone. This team could reach the Super Bowl, which they aren't, by the way. I'm thinking Neil might be a Cowboy fan, if I remember right. This team could reach the Super Bowl, and I'm going to say the coaching staff will get fired because Sean Payton will be the next coach of the Cowboys. I would be shocked. I will lay you. I got to see if I can find a futures bet on this on DraftKings that Sean Payton will be the next coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And yes, how you don't commit to that running game with you got two of the best running backs in football is amazing to me. Colts are a mess. Matty Ice doesn't look like he's got enough left to lead this team where they thought they could take him. They probably would have been better off with Carson Wentz than Matty Ice at this point. And I love the kid. Again, I've told this story a lot. I've a 20 for the jar. Saw this kid play at Boston College for 3 years, 2 years as a starter, I believe, when Josh Beekman was out there. We went to every home game, met his family. His father's a nut job, and Matty was a good kid. But, it's over. Eagles is a lock. Okay. It's a good one. I wouldn't say it's a lock on the road. How's any NFL game where you're giving points on the road a lock? Pickles, good evening or good morning. I don't even know what time it is. Good to see Pickles I know Pickles is a big fan of the Robert Butler show, so welcome in here, Pickles. Falcons win. Cordell Patterson has a good game. I won't argue. I got nothing to say. The only reason I like Seattle is they're at home. These are two bad football teams. Russell Wilson 17-3 against Seattle. Huh? I'm not sure what that is. Oh, San Francisco. He revises himself. That's probably a good pick. I don't see San Francisco scoring a bunch of points against Denver today. Dallas will welcome Peyton. He will be the manager. He will be the head coach of this team next year. I would be shocked if he wasn't. And hey, you again, Pickles. Good to have you with us. Pickles is a big contributor of the shows on Northeast Streaming Sports, and we do appreciate that for sure. So there's our picks. We'll talk about what else you guys got for the NFL before Mark Mancini gets here and we beat him up about cheesesteaks and whatever else we can. Don't tell me he called again. I told him I don't have the phone on. No, that wasn't him. All right. So we're still waiting on him. All right. Good to know it wasn't him anyway who called. NFL news. What else is going on? Let's just take a quick look around the league a little bit more while we wait for Mr. Mancini to make his appearance. Is an interesting article on ESPN.com today. Are ranking the worst teams since 1981 to start 2-0 and where the Giants land. Let's take a quick look. Let's just take a quick look here. Oh crap, I can't get in that article. Why? I have I'm signed in. Oh crap, never mind. I can't get into that article. It's on ESPN Plus. I have ESPN Plus, and I have no idea why it's not doing it, and I'm not going to look for my login here. But we got a few more comments here to follow up on. Dallas will not be going anywhere soon. They need an owner. I've said that for a while. As long as Jerry Jones, even if Sean Payton comes in here, if Jerry Jones doesn't hire a football guy to run that front office and make football decisions, they're not going anywhere. Listen, Dak's a good Dak can win in the NFL. They've not used him the way they should use him. Dak is not a guy. You're not going to win Super Bowls. You're never going to win playoff games with Dak throwing the ball 50 times a game. I don't know how you can tell me. Well, you can't say the Cowboys should have won 2 of the last 4 Super Bowls, and you can't tell me Dak isn't a real player. Then, Kenny, you're kind of you're defeating your own argument. So you're telling me it's a coaching thing. I'm telling you they haven't been good enough to win 2 of the last 4 Super Bowls. I think that one's a little. I did stumble, yes. If the Cowboys go to the Super Bowl, they will have to buy tickets. I don't disagree with you. But even if they made it to the Super Bowl, McCarthy's out. Kellen Moore's out. Sean Payton's in. Mitch Morse Buffalo center is questionable. Well, there is. We talked about this at like 25% of both these teams were on the injured list. But I would expect Morse to go today for Buffalo. I think the guys that are out on defense will have more of an impact here than Morse being out. And I think I do think this is going to be a high-scoring affair today. Okay. See, I'm not sure what that's about, but that's awesome. Jerry just needs to stay out of the media. Jerry just needs to step away. Own the team. It's fine. You don't need a new owner. You need an owner that will bring in somebody to run football operations that is actually a football guy. Oh, you just made picks. The year after Jerry Jones is laid to rest, the Cowboys will win the Super Bowl. I thought the Cowboys got it hard before. Now Pickles has jumped in on the fray here. Dak is on track to be back week 5, maybe even as early as next week. I'll give you one more comment before I bring in Mark Mancini. Josh Allen should run for 150 yards. He might. Listen, by the way, Josh Allen is my Josh Allen and Stefan Diggs are on my fantasy teams, and they carry me. Good morning. Sorry, Mr. Mark Mancini from Mancini Media. How are you?
Well, I'm doing good. Things running threes. The Panthers won, the Pirates won, and the Trojans won.
The Trojans looked awesome yesterday, didn't they? That high-powered offense was just clicking.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's not how you start. It's where you finish. The defense, basically, it's not perfect, but it's opportunistic. And when you look at that offense, yeah, they struggled, but they haven't turned the ball over this year. There's been no turnovers on that offense. I'll
tell you what. That team won't beat Utah or Washington this year. That's my bold prediction for today. They do not win the Pac-12 because they will not beat either one of those teams. Well, we'll see.
Well, Oregon State was 3-0 coming in. I know, but Utah, I'll tell you, I'm not sold on Utah. I thought Utah got exposed a little, earlier on. But I will tell you, and I know we'll talk about it Wednesday, boy, Florida looks bad. Kentucky looks good. And Texas A&M kind of showing, Sarkisian and the boys that maybe you don't belong here.
But before I go to that, never trust a Lincoln Riley offense, Mark. I know this from experience. He's an Oklahoma fan. So
hey, come on, man. They give you quarter. He's look at his quarterbacks, what he's developed there. I like the way he sat that kid down. He kind of gave him a pep talk. He said, listen, time is now. I need your body language. Let's go. I like that, man.
We'll see how they do. Oklahoma had their own tough loss yesterday to K-State. That's going to shake up the top 10, obviously. You talked about Texas A&M. I thought 14-0. This team was in big trouble, about to get blown out of the building. Great job by them righting the ship. Why Jimbo Fisher, and I'm saying this, a bit because I had money on this game, laid 2 points. Why he's going for 2-point conversion in the first half, down 14-13, I have no idea, and they win the game by 2. Thank you, Jimbo. Yeah. My wallet thanks you, by the way.
Well, I'm just wondering when Georgia's going to start playing somebody. Who's on the schedule next week for Georgia? Pacific? I love it with these guys coming out and ripping me. I'm going, well, I just want to know who the schedule is. Is it Pacific? Who's on the schedule?
Let's see who they got next week. Week 4.
Is it Tallahassee State? I mean, come on, man. Who are we playing here?
So I got the wrong week. Hold on. I got to go to week 5. Is it already week 5?
Sam Houston? Is Sam Houston on the schedule?
They got to be here. Hold on. Let's get to the SEC. Probably Rick Sherlock will put it up before I get to it. So the SEC. Come on. Where are you? They dropped them off. Oh, no, I didn't. They're just kidding. The SEC's not even on the schedule anymore. Wow. Oh, how about doing this alphabetically, ESPN?
Hey, watch out, Michigan. Michigan looking good.
Actually, Georgia has a bye. They need. Oh no, I'm sorry. They got Missouri. They're at Missouri. So it's at least it's a league shitty team. Excuse my French.
Right. Well, meanwhile, I'm covering the Dodgers today. That ought to be interesting. The press pass will allow me to get in that locker room. So who knows? But this team's going home, man. Come on, man. This team hasn't been tested. This team will go home. And then we'll have another excuse. We'll bring another high-priced free agent in. Everybody will get excited, and they'll go home. When are they going to get rid of Andrew Friedman in Los Angeles? Can anybody tell me that?
Why? I don't. I mean, oh my God. Why? Listen, have you got your Bobby Valentine fake nose and mustache and glasses to get in the stadium today? Because they're not going to let you in.
But what are people? Come on, Keith. What are people going to get tired of this act? When are they going to finally say, you know what, Andrew Friedman, you've been spending our nephew's money, our uncle's money, our aunt's money. Everybody's been dying, and you keep taking the inheritance and spending it. We keep giving it to you every year. When is this going to stop?
They're going to win 110 games. You realize that, right?
That's all they're hanging their banners on. 110 franchise record, everything. We got this. We got the first team to do this. Come on, they're like the Seattle Mariners, 116 wins. We've hit 246 home runs in a year. We broke the record by Toronto. I mean, what is this? Is this how you're selling season tickets? This is not for a second biggest market in Los Angeles. This is for somebody in Cincinnati.
Well, according to Alan, the Dodgers are going to bring in Aaron Judge to spite the Yankees.
Oh my God!
I don't see that.
Come on,
Aaron
man.
Judge will be in pinstripes until I'm dead. Well, maybe not till I'm dead, but I hope. But he will be a Yankee next year, by the way. And it costs the Yankees about $400 million, probably another $100 million not to sign him in March. Great job, Cashman.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing. At least the Yankees have won a World Series quicker than the Dodgers have. The Dodgers haven't won it in 4 decades almost.
In a 162 game season.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing I'm going to hold over Los Angeles' head until they get that monkey off their back. Everybody
played under the same conditions that season, though. You cannot just put an asterisk next to that when everybody else played under the same. They say played the same number of games in the same circumstances.
Well, they've thrown an asterisk under the 3 guys in baseball that, you got a guy that's won all the Cy Youngs, a guy that's a home run hitter, and I mean, a guy that's an all-time hits leader, and they put asterisks on those guys, and they played full seasons.
Well, I love people want to put asterisks on things. Why do we got to put asterisks on things? We had to put an asterisk on Roger Maris's home run record. Why? Because 162 games and the Bay played 154.
What the hell is going on in Boston with the Celtics getting involved with an extramarital affair? What is going on there?
I did a vlog on this week. This guy. How do you bring this guy back to coach this team? You can't. This guy could coach the NBA again because we're very forgiving. We give guys a second chance. But how do you have him come in here and coach guys he's supposed to hold accountable to follow team protocol when he doesn't do it himself?
Well, here's the thing. I don't condone what he did.
I don't either.
But this has been going on for the turn of the century. When God made women, the world was definitely complete. And anybody that challenges me on that, I don't know what book they read, but that's a personal opinion. But how do you give passes to Deshaun Watson? You give a $230 million contract that's had happy endings and masseuses and all this, 66, maybe 81 to be exact. And Wade Boggs gets a pass with every woman in every city that when he was playing baseball, but you vilify this guy. It's a consensual thing.
Well, but the team policy says you cannot have that relationship. That's the big thing here. And as Pickle says, I think he's right. There's more to this situation than is being said.
Celtics are going backwards now. They just shot themselves in the foot.
We found out Friday that this relationship, I think, might have been over, and he was making unwanted comments and maybe advances that he should not have been making. So I think there's a little more to this. Let's leave Robin.
Well, when you have one of these things, when you have one of these things go on that somebody feels like they've been let down and it gets dragged out, and and now his fiance and everything. It's really interesting to see what this thing will shake. But by suspending him for the year, this guy's going to get picked up in a city. He's a proven winner. He took the Celtics to the finals.
He'll never coach the Celtics again. You mark my words. Because here's the thing. Again, it's an extramarital affair and it's a consensual thing. I get it. We don't condone it because of he's already engaged to another woman and has a child with them. Maybe I should say them. I don't know today. I don't know what to say. There comes a letter. But the team has a policy against fraternization amongst employees. So he broke team policy. Even if that's all it is, there's nothing more to it. Let's just say.
So let me
have a guy in a position of authority holding guys accountable below him to follow team protocol and team rules.
Well, when was accountability and communication words to follow in these days in the country? I grew up with those words, but they're lost words. So, if somebody's going to tell me that LeBron James is single and he wants to date a cheerleader, Are the Lakers going to say, we're going to suspend you for a year, LeBron James? You're not playing. We're just going to go get, Samaki Walker to play for us?
Yeah, I know. Just looking at some of these comments, if men were as smart as they think, they would turn everything over to the women for men. And I agree with Carlos. I think he'll be back at least within 2 years. Whenever his suspension is up,
he's gonna get picked up. Somebody's gonna back the Celtics shot themselves in the foot.
I think he resigns. I think he resigns sometime. He was going to resign, it looked like, last Thursday, and he changed his mind, and then the team suspended him. I don't see him. Anyway, he comes back here. They either fire him completely or he resigns, and I think he'll be back probably the year after next.
Well, let me ask you something. I've had a lot of respect for the Celtics, but if you're going to stay by this story, how come you didn't do your homework on Len Bias when you drafted him and made sure he was right and straight and everything?
Oh, that was the first time he did cocaine. It was the night he died. Didn't you read the papers? He only had $30,000 with it underneath the seat of his car in case he liked it. You're right. But, that set the Celtics franchise back like a decade, for crying out loud.
Right, right. And then the Dodgers are standing there telling me, Julio Urias hit his girlfriend in a parking structure in Los Angeles. We'll just bring him back. They didn't want to let him go because they know he is the most prominent starter on that staff right now, head into the postseason, because another guy dropped off the bus in Dustin May last night.
So I'm wondering about, I saw that. How does Harrison Barnes, Pickles, know that it's worse than is known? Harrison Barnes, I'm looking at the time. I got to make sure we have time to do our stuff. Wasn't Harrison Barnes? I must be thinking of a different guy. Isn't he the guy that was mixed up in the whole Derek Fisher triangle or whatnot? Is that a different Barnes in the NBA?
No, that was the guy that went to Sacramento. Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes.
Yeah, you're right. It all depends on. Yeah, I think he's going to quit. That's what I think.
Well, I want to know if Udoka goes somewhere else. Does he bring that staffer he had a consensual relationship with?
Well, I'm pretty sure they're done. I think that's part of the more that's going on. Pickle says lawyers are currently lining up clients to sue the Celtics on behalf of who? The coach or the woman as well? Yes, Pickles. They're
going to sue the leprechaun.
That's an important piece of information. Maybe it's everybody suing the Celtics. I don't know.
Oh, God.
It's funny. And what stinks about sports right now, and I love sports, obviously, all sports, but we have to spend so much time talking about the Deshaun Watsons and now Duka and all this crap that happens off the field.
Yeah.
I want to go back to this.
A guy that's having a consensual relationship, we don't know how many people across the country are having that people don't know about, but you got a guy like Kevin Durant opening his mouth. He wants everybody fired, and he doesn't get reprimanded and traded. Go figure.
Sports have been a dark world since its inception. Well, you're not necessarily wrong there, Carlos. I mean, Babe Ruth and some of these guys weren't.
I just want to know, when Deshaun Watson comes back, Keith, maybe you can shed some light. Is there going to be like a masseuse stand outside Cleveland's near the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or something?
Right there in the locker room, I guess, just to make it convenient for them. Let's switch off this topic. Let's get to your Steelers for a second. After another putrid performance on Thursday night, do you think the Steelers, this is from Alan, that they should sit Pickett or continue to play? Let me give you my comment here before you jump in. I think he's sitting. Mike Tomlin's a smart coach. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL in my mind. And the reason this is more about Pickett not being ready to play than it is him thinking Trubisky's his number one quarterback.
Well, first of all, on the XM show, they were bringing up Stephen A. Smith, and I don't have much confidence or anything in Stephen A. Smith. This guy's a wishy-washy guy. He might have a little bit bigger platform than this, but he's not consistent. I don't respect him at all. But I will tell you, when he stands there and makes a comment that Trubisky should be sitting everything, first of all, I'm from the old school, and you are too, that you hold a clipboard for a year like Dan Marino, like John Elway, playing behind a Steve DeBerg or something. Let Pinkett get his reps in as far as in practice. Let him study the playbook. If Trubisky goes down with an injury, then you turn it over to him. Mitch has done a great job. It's not him. It's, the The offensive line needs some work. They're not moving the ball. They're not built for this offense. Is kind of looking like the Skins or the Colts. They play small ball. So I give it to Trubinsky. I like what Tomlin's doing. He's sticking with them, and he's blocking out the noise. And that's what you really got to do is you got to block out the noise.
I said earlier in this show, and I think I said it on the Mac and Jack show this morning, that Trubisky, the problem right now with that Pittsburgh offense is they aren't running the football. If they run the football, that helps Mitchell Trubisky a ton. Mitchell Trubisky isn't a guy who can carry your team throwing the ball 40 times a game. But if you can establish a running game, he can have a little play action, roll out, run the ball a little bit. He can be an effective quarterback in this league. I'm positive.
Well, why doesn't Stephen A. Smith open his mouth and say, well, if the Bengals lose today, they'll be 0-3. Why don't we just sit Joe Burrow down? That would be the Steelers are going to win this division. They are going to win the division. I think they got the best coach in the division. They'll figure out a way to get there. It's only 3 games in. Hey, it's like baseball. It's not how you start, it's where you finish. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. This team will be okay. Look at their next few games. They'll get the Jets coming into Pittsburgh after this. But it's funny how we bury a guy that's 1-2, but we're not going to bury a guy that's 0-3 if they lose today in New York to the Jets.
Bit of a different situation, but I get your point a bit. I mean, Trubisky, as Pickle says here, Trubisky is their best option to win right now. And I like Trubisky. I think there's some upside to his game. Give him a chance. He hasn't played regular quarterback in this league in 3 years. So the Nagy in Chicago nearly ruined this guy's confidence, and he's going to need a little time to get it back. And I do think he can be a good player in this.
Well, let's take receipts on these guys. I like Robert Salah's thing. Let's take receipts on these media guys that stand there and bash these guys, because when they turn it around, I don't have no room on the float for you.
Yeah, Carlos, I'm all done with that topic, by the way. I'm not getting back because you're making 0 sense right now. Because as usual, you're comparing apples and oranges, which is why I'm not going to go there right now, because we don't have enough time. What we got to do now, Mark, to the important part of this show.
Well, I had a guy in Miami. I was part of a Miami show, and I got a running thing going saying the Dolphins will have the Jaguars will have a better record than the Dolphins. The guy was laughing at me. I said,
it's possible.
Yeah, they got. First of all, the Jaguars are the best team in their division. The Dolphins aren't the best team in their division. And the only thing where people might feel like they have a fighting chance is 4 guys on the defense are out for Buffalo tonight.
Let's get to our locks, and don't be surprised if for today, September 25th, or I guess it could be Monday, September 26th. Who is your lock of this week's NFL games?
Well, I know there's a tropical storm bearing down on Florida, but my lock of the week is I think Buffalo is going to go into Miami and show them who's boss. They're going to basically they're a runaway train. It's part of the revenge tour. They've smashed 2 opponents. They'll smash Miami, regardless of 4 guys and hide out of that defense. They'll figure it out. That's my lock. Buffalo over Miami. Surprise.
Okay.
My surprise. Don't be surprised. I know tickets are going for $23 today in SoFi Stadium. Don't be surprised if the Jaguars and Doug Peterson come in here and beat the Chargers if Herbert don't play.
That'd be a big surprise. All right. I'll give you my lock because we only got about a minute and a half here. So my lock is going to be Green Bay goes to Tampa Bay and beats the Buccaneers. And don't be surprised if the Washington team, formerly known as the Redskins, beats the team everybody wants to anoint as the best team in the NFC, the Philadelphia Eagles. They beat them today at home.
I was walking around with a Redskin beanie the other day, and somebody goes, "They're not the Redskins anymore." I go, "What? I beg your pardon."
Again, the letters keep coming about the Redskins, the Indians. I just can't help myself. Mark, we got 30 seconds before we got to start wrapping it up here. Give me a little plug for yourself this week.
Well, we got Philadelphia WWDB. Boy, you did a great job last week on it. Part of the XM Sirius. I got the Pirate Podcast. We're down in the final 2 weeks, 2 years doing that thing. Part of a Miami show. I'm all over the place, man. Brash, opinionated, controversial. It's kind of like your first beer. You swig it around like mouthwash, you spit it out, you get accustomed to it.
hardest working guy in the business, Mark Mancini. Thanks for
you are.
Guys, I want to thank everybody. We had a great security show today. Carlos, Allen, Pickles, thanks for coming in. CA, Rick, Penny, Billy Pulver, all you guys, thanks for coming in. We'll catch you next week right here live with our Sunday Stream of Consciousness, and I got to get out of here.